It was a quiet morning in a small misty town. A little girl in a yellow raincoat walked home from school when she heard faint whimpers behind her. She turned and froze. Two tiny German shepherd puppies stood on their hind legs, paws lifted like they were begging for help, tears glistening in their eyes. The girl blinked, unsure if what she saw was real. The pups whimpered again, trembling from cold and hunger. She knelt down and whispered, "Where's your mommy?" But when one puppy tugged at her coat and started leading her down the empty road, she realized this wasn't just a cry for help. Something deep inside told her to follow. She had no idea those tiny cries for help were about to uncover a truth that would shock the entire town. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The morning was wrapped in fog, the kind that made the small town feel like a dream. 7-year-old Emily skipped along the narrow road, her yellow raincoat bright against the gray mist. The sound of her boots splashing through puddles was the only noise until she heard it, a faint whimper, then another. She stopped, turning slowly. Two tiny German shepherd puppies stood in the middle of the road, shivering, their wet fur clinging to their fragile bodies. They looked straight at her, eyes wide, filled with something Emily couldn't explain. Sadness, fear. "Hey there," she whispered, kneeling down. The puppies whimpered louder and, to her surprise, stood up on their hind legs, paws raised, as if begging for help. Emily's heart squeezed. She tore a piece from her sandwich and held it out, but they didn't eat. Instead, one gently tugged at her coat, pulling toward the foggy street ahead. "Where are you taking me?" she asked softly, following their tiny footprints. The fog thickened, the world around her falling silent, except for their cries. She didn't know it yet, but those two little puppies were about to lead her somewhere that would change everything. Emily hesitated at first, glancing back toward her street. The fog had grown thicker, curling around her like a blanket of white. But when she looked down, the two puppies were still there, whimpering softly, their eyes pleading. One of them tugged gently at her raincoat again, urging her to follow. "Okay," she whispered, voice trembling. "I'll come with you." They walked together through the misty road, past quiet houses and empty fences. The puppy's little paws left tiny prints in the damp soil. Every few steps, they looked back to make sure she was still following. Soon, the neighborhood faded behind them. Emily realized they were heading toward the old farmland at the edge of town, a place most people avoided. The air grew colder, and the sound of distant crows echoed across the field. At the far end, something caught her eye, a dark shape beneath a sagging tree. The puppies ran ahead, barking and scratching frantically at what looked like an old wooden box half buried in straw. Emily dropped to her knees, brushing away the wet hay. Her breath caught. Inside the box, two more tiny puppies lay still, their fur matted with mud. They didn't move. Her heart raced. "Oh, no, please no." She looked around desperately and shouted, "Help! Somebody, please help!" But no one answered except the wind. Emily's voice echoed through the mist, her cries mixing with the faint sound of barking. Somewhere in the distance, tires crunched on gravel. Moments later, flashing blue and red lights pierced the fog. Officer Daniel Reed stepped out of His patrol car, his flashlight cutting through the haze. "Hey, is someone out here?" he called. Then he saw her, a little girl in a yellow raincoat, kneeling in the mud beside a wooden box. Two tiny puppies clinging to her sleeves. Daniel hurried over. "Sweetheart, step back," he said gently. He lifted the heavy box, revealing two more weak, shivering pups underneath. "Oh, you poor things," he muttered, wrapping them in his jacket. "They were crying," Emily said softly. "They showed me where their brothers were." Daniel blinked. "They led you here?" She nodded, eyes wide with innocence. "They wanted me to help." He paused, amazed by the strange truth of it. The two older puppies pressed close to the rescued ones, licking their tiny faces. Daniel radioed animal rescue for immediate assistance. As he did, his flashlight caught something in the mud. Fresh tire tracks and a torn piece of cloth. He frowned. Someone had dumped these puppies here recently. As sirens approached, Daniel looked at Emily and the trembling dogs. "You didn't just find them," he said quietly. "You saved them." Emily smiled faintly. "No," she whispered. "They saved each other." The small veterinary clinic buzzed with urgency. The rescued puppies lay bundled in soft blankets beneath warm lights, their tiny chests rising weakly. Emily sat beside the table, her eyes wide with worry. "Will they be okay?" she asked softly. Dr. Lewis, the town vet, gave a reassuring smile. "They're fighters, sweetheart. They just need warmth, food, and a little love." Officer Daniel stood by the door, his uniform still muddy from the field. "Whoever did this," he said, voice low, "didn't want them found." Dr. Lewis nodded grimly. "They're only a few weeks old. Someone abandoned them deliberately." Emily's small hand reached out, resting gently on one of the pups. "But they didn't give up," she whispered. "They cried until someone listened." Daniel looked at her, realizing the weight of her words. "You listened," he said. Outside, the storm had eased, the fog slowly lifting. Back at the station, Daniel reported the incident. Surveillance footage from a nearby road showed a van stopping by the old farm that morning. A man stepped out, tossed something into the field, and drove away. Daniel clenched his jaw. "We've got him." As Emily waved goodbye to the puppies, Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder. "Because of you," he said softly, "they'll have a second chance." She smiled. "Because of them, officer. They asked for help." The next morning, the quiet town woke to breaking news. Little girl and puppies lead police to illegal dog farm. Officer Daniel stood beside his squad car as a team of officers raided a rundown property on the outskirts of town. The air of neglect. When they broke open the rusted gate, what they saw made every heartache. Dozens of dogs trapped in filthy cages, their eyes pleading for freedom. Among them were mothers nursing newborn pups, trembling with fear. Daniel clenched his fists. "This ends today," he said through gritted teeth. Hours later, the man responsible, a known breeder with past cruelty charges, was arrested. Cameras captured the rescue operation, but what stole every headline was the story of how it started. Two crying puppies begging a little girl for help. Emily watched the news that night, her small hands cradling one of the rescued pups. The anchor's voice echoed. If not for her kindness and courage, these dogs might never have been found. Emily smiled softly. They just needed someone to listen, she whispered. At that moment, Officer Daniel looked at her and said, "You didn't just save them, Emily. You gave them a voice." And across the town, hearts melted. Weeks later, sunlight spilled across Emily's backyard. The fog that once haunted the town had lifted, replaced by laughter and warmth. Emily ran out the door when she heard her mother call, "Close your eyes. We have a surprise." She did, and when she opened them, her breath caught. Two small German shepherd puppies, the same ones who had once begged her for help, came bounding toward her, tails wagging wildly. "You found me again," she cried, dropping to her knees as they licked her face. Officer Daniel leaned against the fence, smiling. "Your parents adopted them," he said. "They belong right here." Emily hugged the puppies close. "I think we all found each other," she whispered. As the evening sun painted the sky gold, Daniel watched the happy trio play in the yard. The camera would fade slowly. On that moment, two rescued lives and one brave little girl, safe, loved, and together at last. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can uncover the greatest miracles and remind us that love always finds its way.